Hi, I'm Lindsay Martin, MBA Admissions Consultant at Solomon Admissions Consulting. In this video, I want to walk you through what it really takes to get into a competitive MBA program, how to position your background, and how to tell your story. So I first want to talk about what it actually takes to get into a top program. What do they really look for? What they say versus what they mean. So let's start with the buzzwords. You might hear a lot of them, see them on different websites. MBA programs talk a lot about, you might hear MBA programs say, we want leadership potential. We value fit. We look for a global mindset. You know, you've heard those things. But here's what they really mean. Are you clear on who you are? Can you bring others along with you? Are you someone who is building a life, a career of intentional impact? So when Harvard says they want leaders who make a difference in the world, they're asking, can you think at a higher altitude? Can you connect the dots between your story and your impact and what comes next? Fuqua says Team Fuqua. What are they really asking? Do you know how to elevate the people around you? Do you love collaboration, not just for strategy, but for people? Cornell, they love engaged, purposeful learners. They want people who have taken initiative in uncertain environments, people who ask, what now? And then they go build it. And then Stanford's famous essay question, what matters most to you and why? That isn't just for clever answers. They're asking for clarity. They're looking for people who have wrestled with those real questions and have come out a little bit wiser. So top MBA programs aren't just assessing your potential as a student. They're assessing your capacity as a leader who's moving, as a leader in motion, someone who has already begun the work of self-reflection, of building things that matter, of things that make sense in the world. And they want to have an impact on the world. Here's the truth. Every school has their own DNA, their own heartbeat, and it's your job to figure out if you align. Meaning you're not simply applying to a program or a school, but you're seeking alignment with a mission and a way of shaping the world. And your role as an applicant is to not contort yourself to fit, but to discern, is this a place that aligns with who I am and who I'm becoming? So let's talk about how to create a competitive profile. Yes, the GMAT and the GRE do matter, but they're definitely not everything. Top MBA programs aren't just scanning your stats or seeking perfection in your score. They're looking for potential. A high score might get you in the door, but it's your story that's going to get you invited in. So part of that application and competitive profile is recommendations. So let's talk about your recommenders. Because I see recommenders as not just another box to check. I think it's one of the most powerful windows into your leadership. The best recommendations don't just say hardworking or detail-oriented. Those are all great things, but the best recommendations tell stories. They say, I watched this person speak up in a meeting when no one would, and it changed the tone of the entire project. Or they took 2 new analysts under their wing, even when their plate was full. Your leadership, your character. That's what the admissions committee wants to hear about. Now, here's the part that many applicants miss. Your job is to help your recommenders tell the right story. Not just writing it for them, of course, but by offering them the lens through which you hope they'll see you. So share your why. Talk to them about the person you're becoming, not just the job you're doing. Invite them into your growth. And yes, you can give them examples, reflections, or reminders that help bring your story into focus. I would also recommend that you don't just choose a big name recommender because you think that might help your application. Choose someone who actually sees you. So pick a manager who challenged you to grow, who watched you rise, the mentor who has seen that quiet courage in those hard sessions, the colleague who's experienced your consistency when no one else was watching. That's something. That's something I've learned over years of reading recommendations. The best ones don't just sound like performance reviews, because in the end, every part of your application is telling a story. Your scores might show a particular readiness, your resume might show results, but your recommendations, they show relationship. They renew the impact you've made in real time, in real places, with actual people. And that's awesome to hear about. So we've talked about maybe talking about your profile a little bit and recommendations. Let's move on to talk about crafting a compelling essay. So in your essay, you're not just answering why an MBA, you're answering why now, why this specific school, and why you. Let's go a little bit deeper though. Some of the best essays I've ever read had nothing to do with awards or promotions. It's an opportunity to delve into your personal journey. So try to reflect on experiences that have shaped your goals, have shaped your values, the stuff that doesn't always just fit nicely onto a resume. Top MBA programs don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real, because real is what connects and what resonates. Not someone with the most accolades, but someone with intention and clarity about who they are and where they're going. That's the stuff that admissions representatives want to hear about. So also show a strong belief in your aspirations and the MBA path. Convey your confidence in your ability to contribute meaningfully to that specific program. Your essay is that space. Here's a couple common mistakes to avoid though. After years of reading admissions applications, I've definitely seen a couple of mistakes I want to tell you about. The first one is generic goals. Try not to have generic goals. So if you say, I want to work at McKinsey, or I want to be a leader in investment banking, that's not enough. Those might be your destination, sure, but admissions readers want to understand your motivations. Why that industry? Why that firm? What do you actually hope to change, lead, or bring to the table with you once you get there? So tell us about how they connect to you, how they connect to who you are, what you've seen, what you believe needs to change about the world. Ask yourself, what values drive my goals? What patterns in my story keep me pointing forward? Another pitfall that I have seen is using your resume on repeat. So your resume already exists in your application. Don't waste that really valuable real estate by repeating your resume. Use your essay to share context, meaning, and depth. So for example, your resume might say that you launched a new product, but your essay should share how you first launched the product and it failed, and what you learned about leading through that uncertainty. Or your resume shows steady career progression, but your essay reveals how you've intentionally mentored interns in your organization, or maybe you created a new employee resource group. One size fits all essays can't happen. That's another thing I've seen. This is a big one. If you copy and paste the same essay for multiple schools, it will show. Each school has a different culture, a different rhythm, a different mission. Speak to that. And if you think about all the great places that have a consulting program, for example, but each of those might be a little bit different. Not just that they're going to land you a great opportunity, but what specifically about that program? What is it about that school that you're going to use to bridge where you're going? So I have a couple of tips to help you deepen your essays. I would first start by journaling. If you're a journaler, or if you don't like that term, just start writing things down before you write your essay. What are the moments in my life that have shaped the way I see the world? Ask a friend, ask a mentor. What have you seen in me that I might be missing? Read your essay. Does it sound like you? One of my friends, Dr. Brian Russell, says, we're not transformed by information alone, but by the stories we embody. And I see your essay as an embodiment of your story. So we've talked about your competitive profile, your recommendations, your essays. The next step is preparing for interviews. I see an interview as an invitation to a conversation. An MBA interview is not a final exam. So we've all been there in a classroom where you feel like you're being grilled and you're potentially could say the wrong answer. This is not that. It's not about memorizing perfect answers or sounding like someone you think the admissions rep or interviewer wants to hear. When I interviewed MBA applicants, I sat across the table from applicants with stunning resumes. just like you. But the ones I remembered, those are the ones that could connect, those that shared genuine experiences and perspectives rather than those rehearsed answers. So, of course, you want to prepare for the interview, but also try to prepare in a way that you can feel like you can be your authentic self as much as possible. So, who will you be interviewing with? It could be a member of the admissions committee, an alumni of the program, or a current student. Each brings a slightly different lens to the conversation. So if you're meeting with someone from the admissions committee, know that they're listening from a place of alignment. They want to understand your goals. They want to get a sense of you, how you'd contribute to the learning community. They're kind of trained to read between the lines. So clarity, thoughtfulness, authenticity are important here. If you're speaking with a current student, they're thinking about what you would be like as a peer. Would I want to learn beside this person? They're listening for curiosity, collaboration, and whether or not you would thrive in the classroom, with a team, or in those late night group chats after a class. If you're interviewing with an alum, they're asking, would this person carry our legacy forward? Are they a great representation of the program? Are they going to represent future leadership roles, how your story resonates with the school's mission, things like that. It's also helpful to know if your interview is blind or non-blind. So in a blind interview, your interviewer has not read your full application. They may only have access to a couple things, like maybe your resume, for example. That means you need to take the lead. And you need to connect the dots. You'll want to walk them through your story, your background, your goals, and why an MBA now, without assuming they already know the context. Whereas a non-blind interview, your interviewer has read your application. So they have reviewed your essays, your recommendation letters, your academic record. So in that setting, they may be asking you more tailored follow-up questions. They might want to dive deeper into something you wrote on your application, or they might want you to articulate your vision that goes beyond the page. Either way, your goal is the same: to build connection, to communicate who you are, why this step matters, and to show you're aligned with the program. Knowing the format helps you prepare more thoroughly and turn the interview into a meaningful conversation. So with blind, non-blind interviews, or potentially who you're interviewing with, the information should be provided by the program when you're invited to interview, but you can also ask each program and they can certainly provide the information as well. So here's a couple things I would offer about an interview. So first, see it as a conversation. It's an opportunity. It's a conversation. Share genuine experiences and your perspective rather than these rehearsed answers. A huge thing: research the program. Demonstrate a clear understanding of the school's culture, values, and offerings, and you can't go wrong there. Articulate how those align with your goals. Reflect on fit and contribution. That's also a must. Consider how you'll fit in with the program and what unique contributions you will make. Be prepared to discuss these aspects as thoughtfully as possible. The best answers don't just show that you've researched, they show why it matters to you. And finally, I want to talk to you about strategic application planning, some timing and resources. When it comes to applying to a top MBA program, one of the biggest questions applicants face is when? When should I apply? The truth is, timing does matter, and it can be strategic. Most schools offer a number of rounds, as you know, there's 3 or 4, and understanding the advantages and challenges of each round can make a real difference in your application. So let's talk about them. Round 1, applying early shows commitment, it shows focus, it shows how much you're prepared. At this point, all the seats are open. So that's what you have going for you. If your application is strong, this can be the best chance to stand out. However, applying early means your application has to be super polished. If your application is feeling rushed or incomplete, it's best to wait. That leads me to round 2. Round 2 is the most popular round. That's where the majority of applicants apply. It gives you more time to prepare your application thoughtfully. But since we're in the second round, schools also have fewer spots remaining. Just makes sense. It's in the numbers. So the stakes can feel a lot higher in round 2. Round 3 and beyond are for very specific cases. Maybe you had an unexpected career change or a late decision to pursue an MBA or a late decision to pursue a specific program or school. Schools are more selective here, so only apply in this later round if you have a compelling reason or a very strong application. Now, here is the big thing I want you to hear loud and clear. Your application timeline should be guided by the quality of your materials and your personal readiness, not by that calendar date. So don't let that date necessarily drive you or rush you in a particular way. It's better to apply in round 2 with a strong application and authentic story than round 1 with a rushed application, if that helps. I also want to encourage you to use school resources to your advantage. Tap into every resource available. Many MBA programs offer formal avenues to connect with current students, such as student ambassador programs, info sessions, and curated network events in your cities. Connect with students and alumni if you can. Engage with the community, understand the program's culture, gather advice. With alumni, hearing about how they leverage their MBA might help you with your own narrative. You can also reach out to faculty. If you have specific academic interests, contacting professors can help provide that deeper insight into a particular program. And I'm sure as you've seen school websites and webinars, dive into those resources. Schools offer a lot online. Watch webinars, read the blogs, explore campus highlights. If at all possible, and if it's within your capability, try to visit campus very minimally, attend virtual events. Experiencing the environment, even digitally, helps you understand the culture and how it aligns with you. As much as you possibly can, though, try to make these connections real. Don't just connect to connect, but try to make it real. Use what you have learned to craft a compelling why story that feels authentic to you and compelling to the admissions committee. Your job is to show up fully prepared with a story that's clear, honest, and intentional, and to demonstrate that you and the program are the right fit for each other. But there is no specific formula for getting into a top MBA program. But with all the right planning, positioning, and storytelling, it's absolutely within reach. If you're serious about applying, we at Solomon Admissions Consulting can help you craft a tailored, standout application strategy.